and welcome to For Your Innovation, where I sit down with industry experts and leaders to share their business knowledge and insight with startup founders and aspiring entrepreneurs. My name is Ashley Everett, and I am the events producer and marketing manager at RevTech Labs. Today, I am sitting down with Dinah, Redhouse, and Macie from Digital Prodigee, which is a hybrid agency where full stack digital marketing, meets software development. Thank you so much for joining me today, Dinah and Macie.
Of course, our pleasure. Thank you.
To start us off, can you tell everyone listening a little more about Digital Prodigee's services and clients that you work with?
Absolutely. So Digital Prodigee is a growing company within Charlotte. It's a hybrid agency, as you mentioned, Ashley. And what we focus on is helping entrepreneurs make their dreams come true within the tech space. And so we really work with anybody throughout their development phase, whether it starts at just an idea or they're halfway through the project and they just need help, or they're in the funding phases of getting their apps off the ground and need additional help and making it more robust and kind of building it out further. And we also help with scaling those businesses. So once they actually launch, Macie is our strategic business partner that helps us really take it to the next level. And because we have expertise in digital marketing, we're able to really do that from a social and digital standpoint. We work with all types of entrepreneurs, any level of experience within the tech space. We really help kind of guide people through the process and help them understand exactly what they need to do to take the next steps and really kind of paint a picture for them. The thing that makes us really different is just the fact that we are former founders ourselves. So we really take our clients' dreams serious, and we really make sure that we don't look at them as if they're just a number or they're just a project that we take on. We really help kind of, guide them through the process and make sure that there's an end game plan in mind so that we can really help them be as successful as possible.
I love that. So let's talk a little bit about your background. You're both have experience of your own being founders and entrepreneurs. Can you tell us a little bit about kind of your history in that area?
Yeah, sure. Actually, I'm going to pass the baton to Macie to talk on that because she is the full-fledged former founder and has so much success in this area. And that's why she's our strategic business partner in helping scale our businesses with our clients. So I'll let Macie kind of talk about that.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so I really started my entrepreneur journey about, I think since I was little, right? I started breeding hamsters and riding my bike to the pet shop and selling them when I was little, and my mom shut down my operation. I was heartbroken, right? No, I had several failing companies prior to building my technology company, which was called Macie Services, and then selling off the technology in a technology acquisition, right? And from there, I've been doing a lot of coaching. You know, when Dinah came to me, we really wanted to take all of our experience and make sure that our founders, didn't spend the amount of time that we spent making mistakes, right? Really learning from our mistakes. And if it took me a year to launch an app, we can do it now in 4 months, right? Cutting that time and making people's dreams come true faster and more efficient. My role really comes in with the strategic coaching. So making sure that, we are ready for fundraising, for scaling on a mass level, right? And then what all the strategy behind the execution will look like and how we can organize that to grow.
Wow, that's great. Can you also tell me a little bit about this award you guys won? I hear that it's pretty significant, and I would love to hear about that.
Yeah, sure. So I was contacted by Queen City Awards. We were contacted, and basically they kind of told us about, what's going on. And I asked them if they had any type of technology awards or for entrepreneurs within the tech space. And they were like, you know what? We love what you're doing, but we don't have any awards that would match that kind of category. And I was like, that's so interesting because we oftentimes don't think of awarding the tech companies and kind of it is a form of innovation in art when you think about it. And so they actually created a special category, and they already had this award called the Pearl Odin Award, which is for businesses that are making a big impact in the community. Queen City Awards is a Black minority-based type of award company that does an award system every year, award ceremony every year. And what they do is honor people that are making, big moves and that are making a lot of progress within their journey. And so they wanted to award me this because it was after the founder's mother, Pearl Odin, and she was a strong, courageous woman. And I think that's what we stand for at Digital Prodigy. We're progressive, but we're also about coaching people through the importance of technology. It's an emerging market, and a lot of times within, I think, specific communities, we don't really encourage technology. And it's one of the most important, full-fledged, growing, and important industries that we're looking at today, especially with, the fact that a lot of jobs will be obsolete in the next 10 to 20 years. And so if we keep coaching our kids to be successful through just music or sports or athletics and think that that's the only way to achieve, success and wealth, I think that we have to really start opening up our minds to kind of think beyond that. And so that's why they awarded me that. And I was able to give a really great speech on, encouraging our minorities to think outside the box and to start looking into a tech career. And I would love if in the future I can actually give out some grants and things to some minority students to really encourage them to take up a space in that industry.
Wow. First of all, congratulations on the award, but I love a lot of what you're saying there. To kind of go down that path a little bit, can you talk about kind of the role of technology and how it can really help uplift kind of the more minority groups and kind of move them forward?
I would love to talk about that. It's something I'm very passionate about. So I kind of will start off a little bit of background in my experience with technology, because I never really thought I was going to go into this space. I was always an artist. I got my international baccalaureate degree in art, and I love business at the same time. And I just found that there was some kind of symbiotic relationship that really married the two together when I started really diving in. And I'll never forget, I was in college and I just stopped by this talk that this guy was giving, and it was on transcendentalism. And it was basically the merging of people and technology. And what it said was basically like, in the future, we'll be using, nanotechnology and all these different things. And it kind of clicked for me in that moment that, wow, like, this is where I need to kind of hit the moving target and make sure that I'm in this space so that everything I do stays relevant and I'm ahead of the curve. So from that point on, I really just always had a passion for technology. And it wasn't until probably my 5th app that I did. So I started apps back in 2010. And I was trying to convince everybody that everyone's going to have an app soon. And everyone was kind of scoffing at me like, sure, whatever. So I actually took out money from my 401k, cashed it out, and I decided to do one of my big app ideas myself. And so, I was toying around with coding myself, and then I kind of ended up getting 1 developer, then 2, then 3, then I built out a whole team. And I'm like, this is really exciting. But at the time of just having that 1 developer, I had a dream. And the dream was to create an on-demand app that would be able to help people find work immediately. And, it was basically an on-demand job marketplace that was called Velocity. It's still in the App Store right now. And it's something that I'm really passionate about, because I think that there should be more availability to people in work, and really looking at themselves as resources, just like disruptive apps such as Airbnb and Uber and Lyft have. There's something so powerful about the fact that you can now take somebody that doesn't think they are a resource or a business, and now you have 3 different sources of income now. You have a car, then you have a business. You have a home, you have a business. You have hands, you have a business. So the thing is really changing the way that we look at ourselves as individuals. And now we're able to kind of expand our minds and say, I'm a resource, I'm a business. And the everyday person that doesn't see the value in themselves can now see themselves as a corporation. And I think that that's really powerful, because, with such disparity within the middle class, I think to take your power back and to have these disruptive apps and technology, which, by the way, all started during depressions in our economy. And I'm not labeling what we're going through as a depression, but it happens. Necessity breeds, transformation. And so, what we're seeing right now is going to be the same thing. We're going to have some really disruptive technology. I myself am working with clients that are creating disruptive technology. And there's nothing more thrilling than to know that something that's here is going to now be in front of millions, billions of people around the world. And to me, that's power, and that's the equalizing factor between somebody that is in a third world country or a minority that doesn't have much promises and hope to now be as successful as they want to be.
Yes. Yeah. No, that's great. So empowering. And then I think that's a lot of what you hit on. It was just kind of that power and that you get from that. So piggybacking off of that, both yourself and Macie are powerful and impressionable women. I would love to kind of hear about your partnership and how you brought Macie in and how that really helped transform your business.
Absolutely. So Macie, I'll touch on my part. I remember actually hearing tales of Macie. Everyone was like, oh, you need to meet this girl, Macie. It must have been 3 people that told me you need to meet this girl, Macie. So it's like, this girl's legendary. So I'm like, okay, I need to meet her. And so this was probably about 3 years ago, Macie, something like that. I think we met for coffee. And I, like every meeting I'd always gone to, I was the one kind of coaching people through what I was saying. And I kind of always felt like they didn't quite get it. But I'm sitting with Macie and she's like leaps and bounds ahead of me. And I'm like, oh, she gets it, you know, and she's just like this, like energetic, like, buzzsaw. And I'm just like, wow, like I love her energy, her vibe. And she was just so like, her mind was, it just the way it worked. I saw it and I just was so impressed by her. And I wanted to partner with her so bad. And it was funny because we actually had, both apps we were trying to get off the ground at that time. And then I heard about like the success of her app and I'm like, okay, I need to figure out how I can learn from her. So finally my girlfriend told me like, why don't you just like start doing some coaching with her? It'd be worth the investment. And before, I never really, like, to me, coaching was kind of like believing in Santa Claus. I knew it was important, but I was like, it's not really what people kind of chalk it up to be. But I tell you this, Ashley, I literally had one consultation with Macie and I'll never forget, I literally started crying. And the reason I started crying is because I wasn't having a girl moment, right? It was literally because, I had worked on my app she started doing my app coaching. So I had worked on this app for 4 years and I could not figure out like how to get like ground on it. I could not figure out how to get it from A to B. And she broke it down so easily. And I was like, I can't believe I wasted this much time not coaching with you or not, taking advantage of someone's expertise like yourself. And so it just gave me so much clarity and so much relief that I had a game plan and I could literally just follow it, because I think a lot of times we, as entrepreneurs, we are so clear about other people's ideas, other people's business. When it comes to our own, there's this fog and smoke and mirrors that's just so, debilitating. Yeah. And Macie really just is like, she can look at something. It's like she's got a Mensa mind and she just looks at something and just is able to put the pieces in the right order, in the right place and say, there you go. And it's just, Macie, I'm not trying to hype you up, but really you are incredible.
You're my hype man for sure. But
I swear it's no hype. It's no hype. It's all real. Like, I literally, ever since then, and then we decided to take on this partnership with Digital Prodigee, and it was one of the best decisions I could ever made. I recently told Macie, you are the pulse to our business because you keep it consistent, you keep it going, you keep me on track. And what she does a lot of times is it's a lot of mental, and especially when you're alone in a tech space as a female, there's just that feeling of not knowing if you're doing the right thing, not knowing if you're on track. And she really helps you understand and know, like, you're not alone and you can do this. And she gets you past that mental barrier of being able to kind of get out your own way. So yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, well, the pulse needs a backbone, and we couldn't build any apps without Dinah. So
thank you.
And I'm so grateful to be on this team, because after we went through our acquisition, I was really trying to find myself in my new identity. Right, I had put everything into my company, and my investments now are not in the startup space. And I still wanted to have presence there. I still am very passionate about the entire process, and female founders especially, right? So it's awesome to be here and to help and to coach. And like I mentioned earlier, try to shave off some of that time of our personal mistakes to help these founders find success.
Yes. Yeah, I love that. I love hearing these stories about partnership. I think that's a huge part of, our work is connecting founders with the right mentors, because founder burnout is very real, and having kind of those supports and the right people to help lift you up and guide you past some of those roadblocks is so critical. So I love hearing that.
I think
I
it's
think that's really
interesting.
powerful.
Oh, sorry. I
Oh,
think
no,
it's interesting the type of coaching, like Dinah had mentioned. She kind of tiptoed into the emotional aspect of entrepreneurship. And I find myself, at first, I was like, this is strange, when we're going left instead of right in these conversations. But I started remembering from my own journey how important it was to have a co-founder, right? And my business partner at the time, it wasn't all strategic business and this is what I need. Sometimes you need someone to lean on. Sometimes you need reminded that you're doing what you're fighting for, right? And so where I do give myself some credit is, as a woman, if our conversation, the hour that we're together, is 50% strategic and how we're going to push the company forward, and then 50% is making sure that your mental is on track. Entrepreneurs have the highest rate of depression, and just being almost the co-founder that some of these founders don't have is really exciting to me, because I would not be where I am without my previous co-founder.
Yes, yeah, that is so true. I love kind of your guys' energy, and just your powerful story and your perspective. I think sharing that with other startup founders, or even those who are really kind of just starting to play with the idea, is really impactful. But I do want to really quickly just kind of touch on the actual work that you do. I mean, you guys are powerhouses when it comes to helping startups build out their apps, which is quite honestly a lot of the roadmap for tech startups. So I would love for you guys to share kind of your expertise and insight on that process and what it looks like, and what are some of the things that lead to success. What are some of the things that you see all the time with founders that can oftentimes just cause really big roadblocks? If you could speak to some of that.
Sure. So I can touch on that from an actual development standpoint. Since we launched, we actually, I was afraid of what would happen, because I'm like, how am I going to get app clients when no one, really knows about what I do? And it was crazy because, as soon as I opened up shop, I immediately started getting people saying, hey, I heard you do apps. And so, out the gate, I had 3 amazing projects that I started working on, and we've actually started to wrap them up. One has already launched. But it's funny because before, I had always gotten clients, people reaching out to me that were afraid of getting started. They were kind of what I call the deer in the headlights. They're like, but what if somebody steals my idea? What if some, kind of like, that was a very typical thing that I'd be getting a lot of times. And I would have to coach them through the idea that, hey, there's Uber and Lyft, so it's okay to have competitors. In fact, it's a good thing, right? Yeah. But what I find now is that I'm getting a lot more people that are actually afraid of their success. A lot of people that know how good their idea is and how amazing it is and how impactful it could be, and it scares the shit out of them. And to me, it's exciting, but I also, and that's where Macie comes in a lot of times, is, we're coaching them through, look at, like, this is going to be big, and just brace yourself and be prepared, but don't be scared of it. Go into it. And so a lot of times I see that, but then also I would say something that's more disappointing is I do see a lot of people that come to me that are excited to move forward, but have lost a lot of money. And that's the part that always makes me really sad, because I know what that's like. I've been there. I had an app that was 3/4 of the way done. It was in beta testing. It was ready to go. And my developer went MIA. And nothing is worse than losing tens of thousands of dollars on an app project and knowing, like, I trusted myself with this money because, or sometimes other people have trusted me with their money. And this isn't something where, you're spending money to go to the store, or you're doing a DIY project and you lost out on what no, this is an investment. So I think it's important for people to treat it that way and to know that there is way more risk in trying to learn something that is beyond your scope of knowledge, especially in the tech space, and trying to do it yourself just to save a couple $1,000s versus entrusting a company that has experience, that has, a team, that has, a process. And so that's kind of where we're at right now, is really just trying to get the word out before people go that route themselves and try to do these like DIY app projects and, try to save money there, because it really does make a big difference when you have to start from the negative versus starting on a good note, having a good taste in your mouth towards your app, and not kind of feeling almost like resentful that that happened, and you having no control over it. Because I tell you, Ashley, literally, it's probably 9 out of 10 people I talk to have already lost their first round of investment money, whether it be their own savings or whatever, because they tried to do it themselves and the developer just went MIA or just stopped halfway through the project. And now I kind of have to clean up the pieces. So really the words that I would use out there, to kind of encourage people is do it right the first time, and I mean, we have all been there. And as founders, between Macie and I, we can empathize with our clients, but we'd rather empathize from a point of, we want to give you the best price possible. And we're not going to ever take advantage of an entrepreneur just because they're a novice in this area. We really, because we relate so much to the entrepreneurial appreneur, we call it, right? We understand, and we always try to be like really fair in the market. And that's where we position ourselves. We're not some huge tech company that doesn't see you as a person. We look at you like you're an entrepreneur and a founder.
Wow, that's
great. I think another thing that you're going to find that makes us a bit different is that we run our app project and our strategic, planning and consulting parallel, right? So everything that Dinah's doing, we start with our client. As soon as they drop into the hat, we do an entire deep dive so we get to know our founder, right? So that she can really get going on the tech, and then I can plan strategically on if they're going to need funding, if they're going to need financial models, what their scaling models look like, how many markets can we take on at once, and understand how much capacity they have in aligning with the financials and the tech timeline. So it's really nice to see all of it flow together, and the processes that we've worked so hard to put together work alongside with our clients to create success.
Yes.
And Macie, I'll even say that a lot of the clients that we've worked with so far, like, it's amazing because I'll get on the call with them, and each like weekly call that I have with them, they're just like more and more confident in themselves. They're more and more aware of the industry and their app and what their plans are and their vision. And, I just got off a call with my client the other day, and he's working on his pitch deck. And I'm like, wow, before that, he didn't even know what a pitch deck was. And that's like, it's incredible to see them grow as professionals and to, network with these huge companies and investors that see them as equals. And before, they were just like, I just have an idea. I don't even know if it's worth talking about. And now they're confident enough to take this to a tech VC or angel investors and whatnot. And so now it's like, I just see them growing so much. And I know that for me personally, I grow just as much from each project. And it's just so exciting, especially, with working with female founders. It just, it resonates so deeply with the core of our business too. Not to say we don't love working with men as well, but we love to see our women being successful as well.
Yes, I love that. And I love hearing how people kind of come to you at first and they're not feeling so confident. And by working with you and having both your support and your expertise, you both are really helping founders just gain that momentum in confidence, which is so critical to being a startup founder. But just to wrap things up, can you tell everyone kind of where they can find Digital Prodigee at and how to kind of get in touch with both you and Macie?
Yeah, absolutely. So for Digital Prodigee, we're on social media at Digital Prodigee. And we are also at www.digitalprodigee.com. And so, I mean, they can reach out to any of us directly, email us. I do a free consultation with all of our founders, all of our potential clients, or we kind of talk about your idea on a very high level. And we can kind of coach you through the right process and just at least give you some guidance. For me personally, even if somebody doesn't end up being a client or they're still shopping around, I like to give them the most thorough type of guidance as possible, and even give them some resources to take with them when they are shopping around for pricing. So, you can contact me directly growth at digitalprodigy.com or Macie as well.
Yes. Well, thank you both so much for taking the time out of your day to chat with me and share your story. I think what you're both doing, Macie and Dinah, is so incredible and so important. So thank you again for joining me.
Of course.
Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you so much. It was an honor to be part of this. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And then until next week, everyone, stay safe and stay healthy.